Hello, BookTube. The jury is still out on what this video is. I recently did a video where I showed you some new arrivals here, but not actually a mail haul in the traditional sense of the term that we've been doing for years. More like the original mail hauls that I did in the very first days of my channel, where the books are already opened. I've already opened the packages. I fell into the habit for years and years on this channel of opening packages just live on camera. For the fun of it, so that we were finding out what was inside them together. And that's fine if what's in them is not going to provoke a foam-flecked, eyes-up-in-the-head, rage-fueled rant for 40 minutes that I'm going to have to delete. And that will happen if I'm opening a package that features a novel about a non-binary mountain lion. So I recently tried the idea of opening the books off camera and showing you some of them, but not all of them, and just talking about them. So I'm opening them off camera, but I'm not examining them ahead of time. We're still going to find out about them together, but I'm not seeing them for the first time on camera. Find it hard that is still a mail haul by any definition of the term, but it feels odd to call it a mail haul when we've done the other way for so long. And I sort of voce put the question to all of you as to whether or not this was tolerable. And a lot of you said, you know, you prefer the surprise of Christmas morning when I open something and start to squeal, but that you understand why I might not want to run the risk of needing to delete a video. And that's very nice, as usual. I'm falling in with the right crowd. You're all understanding, but I don't know what I want to do. But for now, I want to do it that second way, where we just look at some books, but they're already opened, just to see what we will see, and also some periodicals. Like, for instance, I got two great literary periodicals. I got the New York Review of Books, which I glanced at the table of contents, and there's almost nothing in here where the book interests me. Virtually nothing. It doesn't matter to me. I'll learn a lot, I'm sure. And I also got the Times Literary Supplement, the London Times Literary Supplement, the TLS, which I haven't checked the table of contents here, but it will certainly have things that interest me. It always does. Actually, let's do that. Let's check the table of contents. Oh, all right. Well, that's disappointing. Well, the less said about this issue, the better. I won't be reading it. I will be throwing it in the garbage. But we also have another periodical. We have Architectural Digest. This is the Great Escapes issue, where we look at country houses and beach houses and whatnot of the well-to-do. We go through every issue, or almost every issue, of Architectural Digest and determine just how bat-crap crazy a lot of these designers are, and the incredibly wealthy people who buy their houses and who have them redo their apartments. The front half of Architectural Digest is ads. Very expensive ads for services, decorations, even houses. There is a page here. Let me get to it. There's a page in almost every issue of Architectural Digest that actually shows properties for sale and lists their prices and a slim idea of what you will be getting. That tends to end the front section of the magazine. The back section of the magazine are house profiles. The front section is all just these enormously glamorous ads, just enormously expensive ads. Let's see here. Yeah, here we go. This page is just a real estate agent listing the properties that they have for sale. And sometimes you get interiors, and other times you don't. Like, for instance, here we have this is a rather nice looking thing. This one right here. That's rather nice looking. What is that? That is $3 million. A unique oceanfront antique former studio of author/artist Harrison Cady. The round house offers open design that includes 3 bedrooms and 2 full baths, enjoying magnificent water views from 2 decks. So you can get that for $3 million. Typically what we do is we look at the front, we look at those ads, and then we settle in with the house profiles in the back of the issue, where we are getting a tour of some of these monstrosities, these coke-fueled nightmares of design and ill design, all of which lose sight of one crucial factor. There's one crucial yardstick to use when you want to know whether or not the house you are using or the apartment you are redesigning is good. And that is me and my frenemy Deb. We, both of us, are big, fat, sweaty, grumpy, old people. And we're ungainly, we're disheveled, and we're really fun to have around. For all of those defects, you're going to want us to be at whatever you want. Once you know us, you're going to want us over your dumb, stupid, tinny, superficial, artificial friends. And your yardstick for whether or not your design is good is, will it suit me and Deb? So you can't have a staircase that is steep that has no banister, because we're old. You can't have chairs that have spindly little legs, so that the minute we even lean on them, much less sit on them, they're going to smash into 1,000 pieces. They're going to erupt into kindling. You can't do that. You can't have any of those frou-frou things. You don't like them anyway. You just think you do. You want other people to think you do. But you don't actually like them. No one actually likes furniture they can't use, rooms that they can't use. So we'll see how these things measure up. Like the first one here is... it's a beach house. Where is it? It's a waterfront property, a waterfront home. But where is it? The East End. Oh, okay. So is this the bay? This is the house. So it's ugly. It looks like a box. It looks unfinished. But this is the staircase. What are Deb and I supposed to do on a staircase like that? It's ridiculous. Who ever heard of making a staircase an ornament? You actually kind of use it. And then here you have the living room. This is intentionally inhospitable furniture when you apparently have limitless money. Why is this intentionally inhospitable when you have the money and the wherewithal to make it comfortable? Why is this uncomfortable? Imagine resting your elbow on that. You'd cut flesh. And these little legs, they're going to smash apart. You're on level with the sand and the sea, so you could do something with this room. But not... You've got a scribble on the wall as well, but let's not even talk about that. And then you've got a library. You might think that a floor-to-ceiling library would be appealing, even if the rest of the house is not. But, first of all, look at that. What is that? That's a chair. You know what happens if me or Deb sit on this thing? This part of it bends all the way down to the ground. It becomes a paperclip, and we can't get up. And you can't use it again, because we've bent the stupid tinfoil, cheap metal of the chair itself. We don't want to bounce when we sit on a chair. We want to sit on a chair, nice and solid. But you might think, even apart from the chair, surely the library makes you happy. But no, it doesn't. And can you see why? Look at these two pictures. Notice anything about them? They are blocking books. This is not a library meant to be used. This is a library meant to be seen. This is a library meant for you to estimate the coolness of the possessor by the coolness of the books. But no one ever takes the books off the shelf, except the unpaid, undocumented immigrant that dusts them once a week or gets put in a dungeon if she doesn't. There are two parameters here, right? There are two ways to look at a library. Did a library become necessary because of the books, or did the books become necessary because you had a library? And this is the latter. Deb and I would spit at it. If we could spare the bodily moisture. We can't really do that, but we would if we could. And then we move on to the saving grace of the whole issue. The rest of it can go by the board, because there's a huge feature in here on Castle Howard, where I have been many times. I know all the nooks and crannies of Castle Howard, and there's a huge photo spread here of the type that really only Architectural Digest can do. There it is. There's Castle Howard in the distance there. Of the halls and the artwork being moved, and the resident curators fixing things and rearranging things, and the text that goes along with it. This was just an absolute joy. This was the highlight of the issue. It was certainly going to be, just from the start. But then we move on. Okay, there's one guy here who, for some reason, Architectural Digest did a photo spread of his work studio in a warehouse. I don't think he lives there. I don't think anyone's supposed to live there. I have no reason to look at that. But then we have something in L.A. Is this in L.A.? Yes, in L.A., where this couple renovated a ranch-style home. Now, this is fraudulent right on its surface, because it takes 500 gallons of water a year to run this thing, and there's no water within 100 miles of this place. But also, I'd got my hopes up, because the couple has a child. that they have bought from Indonesia or wherever. And when I see a child in Architectural Digest, I naturally assume there's going to be a creepy, giant, oversized stuffed giraffe. And there wasn't one. Instead, we have this. Notice that it's desert landscaping. They won't admit that they live in a desert. They won't admit that they live in a place where there's no water on its own. Instead, they put the child in a dangerous chair, which I guess is compensation enough. I suppose that's all right. We have, as usual, seating with backs to the views, so that if you want to use that chair, you're not going to be able to see the beautiful view. We have a nice rustic kitchen. I don't go in for kitchen porn because I don't cook, but that strikes me as a good one. There was one other thing I wanted to note here, though. Oh yeah, the ostentatiously unfinished butcher block chairs and tables, always done by people who told the designer, I want it to look ostentatiously unfinished and rustic. I don't like it that way, but I want it to look that way because it's a conversation piece. But here we have more sitting with your back to the view. Just wasted, just totally wasted. And then we move on to, where are you? In the Bosphorus. A totally ugly Euro trash house. Look at this staircase. Again, what are Deb and I supposed to do on that staircase? Who in their right mind thinks the staircase is an accent piece? It's the one piece in your house that should be useful. But this one we have, look at the cute dining room setup. And how about that painting, huh? I paid $1.7 million for that. It's an original Corcoran. It's just absolutely hideous. And it's not the only one in the house. Look at how ruined that room is. Just look at how ruined it is. All the stupid modular dwarf furniture, all of it white, so that the only thing you're going to be thinking about the whole time is, am I going to ruin it? This is the view from the bedroom, but the bedroom is still ruined. The bedroom is still this blockish East German nightmare. It's just, and notice you've got a bench for people who will be watching you while you sleep. And you've got still more of these Corcorans on the walls, this utterly ugly artwork. God help us. And more of them. These creepy, ugly pieces of artwork are all throughout the house. I guarantee you they must be the work of one of the owners. And you've got a pool out back that ironically doesn't have a lifeguard on duty. See, it's got a metal lifeguard on duty. Yay! So it was not a successful issue of Architectural Digest, but we do have books. So the first one that I want to show is a real treat. It is a pleasure to hold this in my hand. I've talked about this book many times with all of you. Glad to talk about it again. This is a novel by Alexander Sorondo. And Alex was a booktuber once upon a time. This is his debut novel, Cuba Fruit, which is wonderful. This is wonderful to hold this in my hand. This is an amazing thing. It's an amazingly good book. And you should read it. You should go onto Amazon and buy a copy. You're going to love it. Don't be fooled by Alex's cheeky categorizing of it as a thriller. There's a lot more going on here than just a thriller. It is wonderful to hold this in my hand as a self-published book. Oh, look at that. It's got an open letters blurb on the back. Fantastic. That is great. Oh, it's got writing on the inside, too. Turn the page. So that's actually in the book. Yeah, that's printed in the book. Okay. I'll have to email Alex. Okay. Well, this has blurbs on the back from me and Jared Henderson, so you know it's good. so go and get a copy of this. Definitely order a print copy. What fun. Okay. Let's move on. We can move on to October. This is gigantic. This is a huge thing. This is 700 pages long. This is Adam Johnson's new book, The Wayfinder. Gigantic thing that's coming out in the autumn. I have a slip for this, so I haven't read it. I haven't read the book, obviously, but I haven't read the slip either. So let's see here. The long-awaited book from the author of the Pulitzer Prize-winning novel The Orphan Master's Son. The Wayfinder is an enveloping, otherworldly epic set in pre-modern Polynesia about a young girl with a remote island who travels to the center of the vast Tongan Empire in an effort to save her people. It's a major novel about indigeneity, ecological balance, and the resilience of humanity in the face of scarcity. But as with all Johnson's work, it is also above all an enthralling feat of storytelling, immersive on the level of Hilary Mantel, and threaded with unforgettable characters and touches of magic. Talking corpses, poetic parrots, souls imprisoned in coconuts, and a fan that wafts the breath of life. Okay. Okay, the back of the book makes comparisons not only to Hilary Mantel, but also to Shogun. Okay, I don't know what to make here. I don't know. I will gladly read this, and I will certainly start on it before October. I'm gathering that this was written at the height of identity politics, that have now, the purveyors of identity politics are now being arrested and thrown in jail, and we're all to follow. So I don't know what to make of the fact that Adam Johnson, who is a cis white man, is writing a book where not only is he using another culture, the Tongan culture, but that his main character is a woman. Maybe it's a breath of fresh air. Maybe that's very good. I don't know if those choices were even on his mind. Hopefully, this was just a story that spoke to him. And to hell with what 12 psychos on Twitter think. That would be great. I love this author, and this is by far the longest book that he's ever written. So that's coming up in the autumn. Then we have this thing. Do we have a sheet for you? No. No, this is a finished copy, though, so this is probably out already or coming out in June. This is by B.A. Shapiro, the author of The Art Forger, which was a novel that I liked. And this is The Lost Masterpiece. So this has blurbs on the back and no pub sheets. Let's read the description. In a gripping novel full of plot twists, the author embeds us in a circle of famous painters in late 19th century Paris, centering on an anguished impressionist artist, Bertha Morisot, the one woman in their midst who never got her due, and the story of Morisot's great-great-great-granddaughter, Tamara Rubin, who has inherited Manet's Party on the Seine painting that completely upends her life. When Tamara inherits Party, she discovers a long-hidden family history replete with unanswered questions. How had it been stolen by the Nazis? How had the painting managed to survive 3 disasters that destroyed every other artwork around it? And most of all, why had she never known about her ancestor? As the painting begins to metamorphose into darker and more terrifying versions of itself, ooh, that's interesting, Tamara's ordinary life is thrown into turmoil. What wounds and resentments plagued Morisot, and to what lengths will her spirit go for revenge? All right, so an art-related novel. I don't know the date on this, but I'm going to get to it tonight. And then we have these things. These are Unbound Galleys. These are just somebody just bound pages together, so there's literally nothing here at all to show you. But these are Penguin Classics, and they're coming out, I think, in the autumn. Around October, I would guess around Halloween. Vampire-themed. Penguin is doing a glut of vampire-themed books. So we have Dracula, which will be is an introduction by Robert Agar and an introduction by Karen Winstead with a foreword by Robert Agar. And this is coming out, this comes out in mid-October. So there's going to be a new Penguin Classic of Dracula. There's going to be a new Penguin Classic combining the vampire and Carmilla. So we're doing The Vampire by John Polidori and Carmilla by Sheridan Le Fanu. They're going to be in one book with a foreword by V.E. Schwab and an introduction by Nick Groom. So that's going to be the other one. And then the third one in this trilogy is the Gilda stories by Jewel Gomez, which will be a lot less familiar to a lot of you. They're kind of an institution in word-of-mouth fantasy genre, mainly because of the cult of personality that's grown up around the author. And I don't know how familiar I am with the Gilda stories. I don't think I'm all that familiar with them, so we'll see. It's not a question of them having the literary chops to compete with Dracula, because No offense to Michael K. Vaughan here, but Carmilla does not have the literary chops to compete, even with John Polidori, much less with Dracula. So it's not a question of that. It's mainly a question of, does this really have the stature to be in this Penguin Classic trilogy, when I have to think, well, I don't know. Jill Gomez is still alive, as far as I know. Whereas the author of the Vampire Tapestry, for instance, I don't think is still alive. And well, it's an interesting choice here. We will see. It's a joy to me to see a new Dracula from Penguin Classics, and the combo volume of Polidori and Le Fanu is also going to be great, regardless of whether or not I end up liking the Gilda stories when I really dig into them. My memory of the Gilda stories is that their very audible subtext is that, sure, vampires are blood-sucking, inhuman monsters, but the real monster is men. Am I right? Up top. And I hated such things even when they were breaking ground, being so sexist and so bigoted. And I hated them when they were ruling the roost, when that was not only an acceptable stance in a book or a social media post, but required for you to have tenure or for you to have a job or anything like that. And I hate them now that they're going to send us all to death camps. So I don't know how much of that infuses the Gilda stories. I might be that they just aren't for me. But the option of rereading Carmilla in a Penguin Classic when the time comes will be wonderful. I actually might read it in this beforehand. So there you go. There is some mail. A bunch of periodicals. We have a Vampire Infusion from Penguin Classics in the autumn. We have The Lost Masterpiece, in which the painting itself seems to be changing depending on mood, yours or its. That is wonderful. We have Adam Johnson's gigantic new book, The Wayfinder. The size will will potentially scare off a lot of critics who will otherwise just beat a path to this author's door to pre-praise anything he does. Critics, most of the mainstream critics working today in the American book press, what little there is of it, are sinfully lazy. Sinfully lazy. If you write a book, especially a novel that's over 230 pages, 310 pages, they'll find a way not to write about it. They'll say, it's not his best work when they haven't read it, or I've already reviewed this author when that wouldn't matter if it was shorter. I don't know. I don't keep track of that world much anymore, but I will definitely read it. And we have Cuba Fruit by Alex Ferrando, a novel that you should all buy and read. Simple as that. And then some periodicals. So that is it. That is another installment of this new approach to how we're doing things. So let me know if you. I'm thinking this is at least serviceable as an alternative to opening everything blind and maybe getting blindsided. This might be serviceable. But anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. It's a humid, rainy day here in Boston. Just rain coming down out of a bright white sky. Not the good kind of rain, not the enjoyable kind of bright white sky. Just with humidity like this, it's like 90% humidity here. It's impossible really to cool anything off or really get comfortable. When you sit for any length of time, you start to stick to what you're sitting to. That's okay. I went a long, cold winter without this kind of weather, so I'll take it. But anyway, I'm going to wrap this up, but I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.